Okay, thank you, and good evening, everyone. Ask everyone who aren't standing to please stand for the national anthem. Thank you, and good evening to members of council, staff, and the public. I will call the meeting to order. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the regular meeting of Council on Monday, March the 10th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And adoption of the previous minutes. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council minutes, Monday, February 24th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Any errors, omissions, or changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. There are none opposed. Okay, so just for everybody's sake, the BEST plant is not on the agenda for this evening. Now, having said that, there is a question period that is at the end of the meeting, but we'll move that question period up to after our delegation speaks from the library. So we'll take your questions after, right after that delegation. So as soon as we can do it, we'll move it up. You'll be restricted to one question per person to come on up to identify who you are and where you are from, as only North Glengarry residents will speak at this meeting. And also, we have received letters and a lot of things that we took off of Facebook. So it's direct questions. We don't need to be told about everything that's in all these packages. So we would appreciate succinct questions. So right after this delegation, we will move on. So don't be mad at her. Libraries are good. Go ahead. Welcome, Rebecca Luck from the County Library System.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff, and the wonderful public who came out to perhaps not listen to me, but hopefully will extend a very warm welcome to hear about our libraries in North Glengarry. So my name is Rebecca Luck. I am the Director of Library Services for the SDG Library, and I'm here tonight to provide you with an update on library services. So North Glengarry has two library branches, the Alexandria branch and the Maxville branch. The Alexandria branch is probably one of our most busiest and most well-utilized library branches in our system. It's open 44 hours a week, and in 2024 we saw over 37,000 print materials borrowed, over 3,000 digital materials. We saw 2,800 hours of usage for our computers. We had over 1,500 library patrons, 17,000 visitors, and over 300 new members register. The Alexandria branch is well situated. Being adjacent to the Alexandria Arena, it really serves as a community hub. By hosting monthly writer program groups, we invite our local writers and local authors to attend to develop their writing skills. Although we offer our programs in English, we do have 2 bilingual staff members who do a wonderful job of really fulfilling that need in the community for our bilingual individuals. The Alexandria branch runs a variety of other programs, such as Fun with Snow. We had a local artist visit by the name of Tyler Stambouli. We showcased our pride and held a National Flag of Canada Day. We showcased a movie night. We held a Sphero Indie racing competition where the young ones got to compete with these little robotic cars. And we also invited a police officer to speak to community members against fraud and scams. In 2024, we had 254 adults, 794 teens, and 317 children attend these programs. So for the Maxville branch, patrons at this branch absolutely love their LSA, to the point where patrons will come in, and if our LSA is not there, they may see the person covering the desk choose to come back another day. We're open 16 hours a week, and in 2024, the Maxville branch circulated over 5,000 print materials, nearly 1,000 digital materials. We saw 36 hours of computer usage, 328 library patrons, over 2,500 visitors, and 70 new members. Maxville patrons hold a lot of community pride. So with recurring programs, we host All Booked Up, which is the Maxville branch's book club. We also host the Knit Night, which is a nice, cozy social evening where a very big core group come monthly to knit together. The Maxville branch also runs a variety of other programs. We have do-it-yourself bird feeders. We held a book exchange party, a more crafty event where we had cushion covers that were made. We had a tech tour where we came in and explained to our community members how to use our online digital e-resources. We hosted a watercolor paint night, and we had a holiday centerpiece crafting night in which I was told that LSA Patty is absolutely fabulous and that she should be charging for her crafting skills. In 2024, we saw 114 adults attend these programs and 325 children attend these programs. So as part of our community outreach initiative, we've popped up in community events throughout Alexandria and Maxville. So last year, we were at the Alexandria Women's Day, which saw 139 interactions. We were also at the Lions Club Santa Claus Parade, in which we don't have an exact number, but we handed out over 400 candy canes, so that can probably be an indicator of how many interactions we had. At Maxville, we were in attendance for the community yard sale, which saw 88 interactions. We were a little bit rained out of the Maxville Fair, but that saw 160 interactions. And of course, the very famous Touch a Truck event featuring our wonderful Karma Williams, which saw 169 interactions. So for our Alexandria branch, we conduct monthly outreach services to the Palace Long-Term Care and also Chateau Glengarry, providing library materials for residents. We have also done delivery to homebound patrons. Alexandria branch also hosts visits from Glengarry District High School every 3 weeks. So in these visits, we have 3 class visits across grades 7 and 8 that come to visit and borrow library materials. We've also had occasional class visits from Le Relais, and our LSA Iris Clark is absolutely wonderful for attending open house for the kinders, going to St. Finans, Ile de Rouleau, Tel des Jeunes, and even Lagan. At Maxville, we conduct outreach services to the Maxville Manor every month for their book club and every 6 weeks for their library material exchanges. We also host visits from Maxville Public School, hosting their kindergarten class, grade 2 and grade 3 classes, in which they come in, they participate in activities, and borrow library materials. North Glengarry residents are encouraged to visit and explore their local library, to borrow books, DVDs, magazines, access free Wi-Fi, print, scan, copy, fax, use a computer, attend a program, borrow museum passes, borrow musical instruments, play games, do puzzles, borrow nature and exercise kits, borrow board games and gaming consoles. And for all the members of the public, this is all totally free. At the SDG Library, community members can connect to our digital library, where they can listen to audiobooks, borrow ebooks, comics, magazines, read e-newspapers, listen to radio shows, watch movies, TV series, crafting tutorials, learn languages, and learning new skills using LinkedIn Learning and Canadian Encyclopedia. For those looking to create, community members can turn their imagination to reality with the use of 3D printers, vinyl printers, sewing machines, button makers, VHS to DVD converters, die cutting machines, laser engravers, sublimation printers, and photo scanners. SCG Library believes in fostering creativity and imagination in children. Last year, during the month of August, the SDG Library launched a new program called the Take and Make Kits, where each kit came with wooden pieces, and this was enough to make a little wooden rocket ship with paints and stickers. So we made 192 of these rocket ship kits, and we were very excited to receive 26 photo submissions from these little creators who were so proud of their creations. The SDG Library hosts the TD Summer Reading Club all summer long. It's a program designed to inspire children to build upon their literacy skills. The program is delivered by 2 Summer Reading Club facilitators.
Can I have everyone please keep quiet, please, during the presentation? She's gone out to tell her there. So I hear people talking in here, so thank you. Go ahead.
The program is delivered by 2 Summer Reading Club facilitators, which are summer positions, and we typically apply for grants for these positions. The coordinators lead the reading club across all 15 of our branches, and they provide stories, themed crafts, and activities for little ones. Last year, the program was 7 weeks long, and we saw over 1,000 children attend this program from all our branches. SCG Reads is a one book, one community event. It encourages all residents from across the counties to come together to read the same title before coming together for the event. Last year, we featured Canadian author Craig Shreve and his novel, The African Samurai. The event was hosted at the North Stormont Place, where we saw 75 community members attend the program. So, what's coming up in the year ahead for the SDG Library? Well, we've recently partnered with the Nation Public Library in their time of need. We also listen to public feedback, and as such, we're launching 2 new databases, which are now live. One is for digital comic books, and the other one is for video streaming services. March break programming is well underway right now. So across all our branches, you can go to any of them, and you'll be able to do a sublimation bookmark, along with other activities such as Lego. We have a Mario Kart competition, and it gets more creative from there. Towards the end of May, we're going to be hosting a membership drive entitled Every Kid a Card. And in November and at the beginning of December, we'll also be hosting our holiday initiative, Pages for Presents, where we will invite community members to help spread the joy of reading by purchasing and donating a book to a child in need. I thank you very much for your time and your attention. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Rebecca. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rebecca, excellent presentation. I just want to thank you for creating a public library system that is second to none and accessible to young and old alike across SDG. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rebecca, yeah, it's nice to see the numbers of young people in your presentation. That's a great initiative or whatever. It'll work well towards the future of SDNG libraries. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to add one thing, the tech stuff that is being provided in terms of 3D printing and in terms of vinyl printing, all this, I think is awesome that people can access it and access it for free. I presume it's consumables that they're paying for.
That's right. If
Yeah.
it's not hosted, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, if it's not part of a program, you can go to any of our library branches, and it's purely based on what you consume, as you said, for the raw materials, and it's at cost. So there's no profit for the library. It's simply just materials.
Awesome. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Councillor
Thank you,
Cadell.
Mr. Mayor. I see that you loan musical instruments, guitars. Do you have books with chords and songs in them to borrow at the same time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, all our guitars come with chord books. They also come with tuners. We are looking at different instruments right now to supplement these, but it's a wonderful program that gets actually quite a bit of usage.
Great, thank you.
Perhaps, Councillor Cadell, you should actually learn how to play it. Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Rebecca. Really appreciate your presentation. Okay. We have an introduction. Okay, so I'm going to ask council, we are okay to move item number 11, question period, up to the top of the staff reports. Everyone is okay with that? Okay, so I'll ask, and you'll need to speak loud to give a little preamble to what you're here for tonight.
So, good evening, everyone.
That's good, yeah.
Good? Okay. Do my mom voice. So, based on letters and emails received in the last week, council and staff wanted to provide the following information to the public on the process and status of the Battery Energy Storage System, BESS, project being constructed in the town of North Glengarry. Compass Renewable Energy Group first contacted the township in August 2023, advising the township that they had secured a long-term lease with a North Glengarry landowner for the purposes of developing a lithium-ion battery storage system. Compass requested a delegation to council, which was presented on September 25th, 2023. The delegation was to inform council of an upcoming request for proposal to the Independent Electricity Systems Operator, also known as the IESO, for a battery energy storage system, BESS. Council had questions for Compass on safety, location, fire suppression, risk management, timelines, etc., which were all answered by Compass. Compass also requested a municipal support resolution to be approved prior to November 2023. As part of the RFP to IESO, Compass was required to hold a public community meeting and set up a website with information on the project. A public community meeting was held on October 18th, 2023 at the Dunvegan Community Hall. Notification of this meeting was conducted by Compass, and council and staff were in attendance as invitees to the meeting. This was not a council meeting, nor was it a public meeting under the Planning Act. There was only one resident in attendance at this meeting, which was the owner of the property. A website was set up called North Glengarry BESS, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with, which provided information on the project, its location, and the steps in the process for approval and construction. The final step of the RFP process to the IESO for Compass was a support resolution from council. A staff report was presented to council on October 23rd, 2023, and a support resolution was approved by council to be sent to Compass. Fast forward to the last 60 days. On January 24th, 2025, a zoning bylaw amendment application was received to rezone a property from general agricultural, AG, to general agricultural special exemption, AG 257, to add battery energy storage system as a permitted use. A few points on the BES project which have been supplied to council and staff. The site will contain 11 units, which will look similar to shipping containers. The site has direct accessibility to the Hydro One transformer station. The area will be fenced and treed. The Ministry of Transportation had no objections despite the proximity to the 417, and a noise impact study was completed in January of 2025, which meets all of the applicable sound level limits. Per the Planning Act, a notice of public meeting of planning was scheduled for February 24th, 2025. Notices were sent out January 31st, 2025 to 2 residents of North Glengarry within the 120-meter buffer zone and all agencies including the Nation municipality. Notice was posted on the township website and sent to the Glengarry Times per published advertisement per the Planning Act. As per the Planning Act, notice of public meeting was posted on the property on February 3rd, 2025, and notice was also mailed to 7 residents within the Nation municipality within the 120-meter buffer zone. On February 24th, 2025, a public meeting of planning was held here. No members of the public brought forward any comments or concerns. No request for information was received except for one call about the location and description of the project. No members of the public were in attendance. No agencies expressed any concerns or comments. MTO supplied a requirement for a permit when a structure or building is constructed within the MTO corridor. As permitted by the Planning Act, and often common practice when there are no objections having been made for rezoning applications, the rezoning application was presented to Council on February 24th, 2025, and was approved. There was also another application that very evening with the same treatment. On February 25th, 2025, a notice of passing was sent to all agencies, including the Nation municipality, posted on the township website, sent to the Glengarry Times for published advertisement, and sent to the applicant. The last date of appeal for this application would be March 17th, 2025. As per the Planning Act, an appeal must not be later than 20 days after the date of the given notice. An appeal to the tribunal may be made in filing with the clerk of the municipality. A notice appeal setting out the objection to the bylaw and the reasons in support of the objection, accompanied by the fee charged by the tribunal. This appeal can be only filed by the applicant, the minister, public bodies, or a specified person and or a registered owner of any land to which the zoning bylaw amendment would apply. There is also a requirement for oral or written submission to the respective municipal councillor prior to the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment in order to secure a right to appeal. The next steps in the process will be a building permit application. This will include the permit with a fee, slab and building plans along with the sufficient information to enable the chief building official to determine, in his or her judgment, whether the proposed construction, demolition, or change of use will conform with the Act and the building code. This will include any mechanical system details plans such as ventilation, electrical, and a grading plan. Prior to the permit being issued, there will be an ESA permit. Zoning bylaw requirements will have to be met, such as the trees and the fencing, as I mentioned. Soil test, compaction test, survey, reference plan, and a fire department inspection report of compliance. Prior to the BESS connecting to the Hydro One owned transmission system, the following will need to be provided: a hazard mitigation analysis, a risk assessment, including a community risk assessment and an air gas disbursement study, fire protection design documentation, including passive fire protection systems and active fire protection systems, a commissioning plan, a decommissioning plan, and an emergency response plan, including the fire department training. Staff and council have followed all of the necessary requirements under the Planning Act for the zoning bylaw amendment application for the BESS project and will ensure, as they do with all permits, that the building code and all other requirements named above are met.
Okay, thank you. So I will open up the floor to questions. Please come up to the microphone, and it's, as I said before, it's one question per person. Please give your name and where your location, your address.
Hi, my name is Elvio Castelli.
Oh, can you?
Hi, my name is Elvio Castelli. I live on Sky Road. I'd like to know what's the council going to do to protect our groundwater, our water we drink from our well, because it's a known condition that there's runoff from these even when there's not a fire or something. So
There is no runoff from these.
oh, there's 27. I read a study in South Korea where 27 fires happen and runoff happen every time.
Right. In 2022, and the technology has gotten better every year. And you guys can keep doing that, but from the last time that there was a fire at one of these was in 2022. And everything that's noted in here, and I'll use the example of, talking about the Moss Landing Bess and.
I didn't submit that, so I don't know what it
No,
says.
so this is just for everybody's, talking about a 14-kilometer radius of spread chemicals. The Environmental Protection Agency of the United States said no risk to public health throughout the entire incident. It shows the concentrate of particulate matter had no reading above moderate air quality. So a lot of these things that you're reading are, you have to go to several sources to look at that. And we've been given all this information through meeting with BEST, meeting with the government, and they've given us, maybe Matt, do you want to speak to the fire aspect of it, if they were to?
If I can, Your Honor.
Sure, go ahead.
I have that article that you're talking about right here. Since 2017, at least 27 BES fires were reported in South Korea.
That's the one. Yeah, that's one.
23 of the BES fires were recorded in 2018, 7 years ago. As a result of these events, South Korean Ministry of Industry formed a committee to investigate the high number of fires at BES. A 5-month investigation produced a report released in June 2019, 6 years ago. The report outlines that the following key factors that contributed to the high fire frequency: a lack of battery protection systems to identify and stop short circuits, insufficient management of operating environment, poor installation quality, and a lack of integrated BES monitoring and control systems. So they basically put these systems in and nobody was looking after them.
And North Glengarry has the capacity to make sure that the highest standards are
This-
being.
Absolutely.
This is what we're,
Yeah, under NFP
And-
1194. they
I
have
know
to
I tailed
follow.
off to the fires, but for the groundwater,
Yes.
for runoff,
Absolutely.
what happens if there is something?
Matt?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As indicated, there's multiple standards in Canada that actually are required, and any thermal runoff that would, sorry,
Bring it right near you.
there you go. So through you, Mr. Mayor, in regards to any thermal runoff, there's actual standards in Canada versus South Korea in terms of, as indicated, this is very lengthy time previously. So there's been a lot of new developed standards. Canada has a lot of different standards in place, such as NFPA and UL standards. All these thermal runoffs can be mitigated, and we mitigate this through risk prevention, through community risk analysis, as well as proper planning and so forth in terms of planning with the chief building official of site planning and how that could all be mitigated. Through, if there's any risk in terms of, should there be a minimal risk of any type of incident that would occur, the fire service is prepared to respond to any type of incident as such, where proper air monitoring as well as ground monitoring is conducted during any type of incident. This is no different for any other incident that the fire department responds to on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you. Next question?
Hi, my name is Joseph Odermatt. I live on the Stewart's Glen Road. And why you had a meeting like that in the most busiest time of the year where we do harvesting, and I didn't notice this, so it's kind of important to be on a meeting like that.
So, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so that wasn't our meeting. That was not a township
Well,
meeting.
yeah.
That was the meeting that they were required, the company was required.
Yeah, I know, but why I didn't know about it?
They sent out
Well, we
notices.
send out notices only to people within the 120 meter. Those are, by the way, are the only people that can actually, right, am I correct? Put in a, what's that? Yeah, formal appeal. They are the only ones. Anybody within 120, nobody else is allowed to put one in according to the Planning Act. So that's unfortunate. If it's not, I'm not taking questions. You want to come up there, you can. That's unfortunately how it is. And we follow, for us, on our side, we follow everything according to the Planning Act. And we went above and beyond, went to the newspapers, we did some social media. So unfortunately, it got past you, and it is unfortunate, but go ahead, Jeff.
And just so people are aware, there was a big article on this in the first edition of the Glengarry Phoenix. And I pulled that up today or whatever.
Yes, that 14 people purchased.
Okay, next question.
Don Ruce, I live on the 5th concession of Kingan, and my question is for Mr. Manley, being you're our Kingan representative. Do you think that 9 households are the only ones that are supposedly they sent notices to? Do you think that maybe there shouldn't have been more people notified? Just look at the crowd that's here tonight, because word is out about this. Nobody knew anything about this.
And they should do it in a bigger place.
We,
This wasn't on the agenda tonight,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
so we, I don't know what to say, Don. I mean, it is what it is. We did everything in our power to get people out or whatever.
Mr. and Mrs. Automat have a farm very close to their, a huge farm. This is their daughter.
But it's
And
been in the, it's been in the papers.
what
It's been-
papers?
Okay, okay, so,
It was in the review in October.
yes.
It was also posted online in October of 2023. Sorry for me to interject, but it was posted. Yes, there was no Glengarry News, but it was in
But
other
we did not
publications
go around and
online.
distribute flyers like we did when we were fighting the quarry.
That is
There was no
a,
effort to do that.
it's not part of the Planning Act to do that. So, and what I'm going to say is, we have probably 80 of these applications a year. Maybe not like this one, but did anybody show up for what's happening at Herb's? You know, there's a whole big slew of things that are going to be happening at Herb's truck stop, including a hotel and all these kinds of things. If we were to send, we have to treat everything the same. So if we had to send out notice by mail to everybody, it's not doable.
I'm not suggesting you should. I feel it was up to the company to have done.
Okay.
Okay? Not simply the letter of the law that they have to do it within 120 yards.
Mhm.
But come on.
Go ahead.
Robert Gauthier, I'm in Dunvegan, and there's something I don't understand. We have an industrial park, right? Why does this have to be in farmland?
So it's on a 15-acre piece of farmland. It's going to use up approximately 1.5 acre of that 15 acres. The farmer, as part of the agreement, is allowed to farm the rest of the amount. So we're using up approximately 1.5 acres.
Should there be a fire, do you think only 7 residents are going to be affected with the emanation and the dangers to the cows, to this community, to the farmland? You are the mayor, and you represent everybody here, not a special interest.
So I'm not representing a special interest. Tell me what you think is going to happen if there's a fire. And by the way, there have been no fires in the last 3 years. So,
By the way,
it wasn't, go ahead.
by the way, in
I can't do
Ohio,
anything.
they had chlorine oxide derailment. The government said, because you used the government of the United States as an example before, and the government says there's no danger to anybody. Only 14,000 dogs, cats, and animals in a 5-mile radius were affected. Now, in the next generations, they're going to see the damage to pregnant women and the whole thing. So the concern, I believe, here is about the same thing. You're saying that legally we had to tell 7 people. But when this happens, or if this happens, would you want your house right beside that place?
There are no houses beside it within 1.2 kilometers.
Well, my house is 5 minutes away. Your house is 7 minutes away. Okay? And when the wind comes in from the east to the west, we're going to get the grunt of it.
But that's why it's not on the old rare site.
What's the fire department's already?
And Mr. Ordermatt has a vested interest with a lot of cows and a lot of invested money in this. So why not
Okay,
bring it somewhere else?
I'll have, that's the not in my backyard NIMBY factor, but go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in terms of any type of air monitoring, should there be any risk, it is actually going to be monitored through proper air monitoring tools, as well as part of our emergency preparedness plan, whenever a site as such is erected within our township, not specifically even just for the BESSs. This is actually, the fire service reviews this, and it's added to the community risk profile in terms of our township. We have a multitude of risks, even larger than this BESS entering the community. And this is an ongoing thing that the fire service is well prepared to deal with. The 417 has a multitude of dangerous goods that is transported through it every single day, including the rail cars come through our hamlets every day. The fire service reviews all the dangerous goods that comes through our township, and we're prepared to respond to any type of incident, which includes the normal aspect of fire suppression, air monitoring, and evacuation if required, as any normal practice through our emergency response preparedness plan that the township has and practices on an ongoing basis. In terms of training for our fire service, we train ongoing for these type of incidents, including for hazmat, and we have provincial assistance to deal with this type of incident. If there's any type of thermal runoff, these type of incidents is no different than any type of incident that the fire service responds to on an ongoing basis, whether it's a simple structure fire at a farm or anything. We are always mitigating these type of factors in terms of thermal runoff, or should it be any type of runoff, even if the water is runoff at any farm. It is my responsible as fire chief to ensure where this runoff and have to mitigate those type of incidents to lessen any type of risk. So there is a lot of risks, and it's not specifically to BESS.
Okay, thank you. And also, there are safety procedures that are done within the actual machine itself, the actual battery, that if it heats up to beyond a certain level, everything automatically shuts down. So a lot of those things weren't available in previous batteries that were put out that may have caught fire, but there are a lot of safety precautions that have been taken so that this doesn't happen.
Can I make one last statement?
Sure, go ahead.
This one might sound far-reaching, but you know, in Chernobyl, I'm sure they had all of these, but it happened. Okay, and we came to this community, and neighbors can tell you we're not much of socialites, but we came here because we like the peace and quiet, the fresh air. We look at night and there's stars, and not to have something like this in our backyard when you have, other places that this could be erected. I mean, so.
I'm curious, what other places should it be erected?
Well, in industrial park.
Closer to a lot of
Hey,
other houses. So
here, there's no risk. See,
I'm saying there's no
Mr.
risk.
Mayor.
You can keep yelling it, but there's no risk.
Wait, first of all,
It's no, you can't. You're next, Mr. McMaster.
so I'll just say.
Okay, please, quick.
Yeah, Roy McMaster from Kenyon Ward, I guess now. My question is regarding the notification for the October 2023 meeting. What form did it take?
Sorry.
To the the 9 households.
I'm going to tell you right now, if anybody yells out something, I'm going to end the meeting. Okay? We're respectful. I want to hear from people. I want to answer questions the best that we can, and that's what we're here for. Go ahead.
So there were 9 households.
Also,
No-
also put in the newspaper, the
No,
review.
but the
yeah, go ahead.
company is required to provide
Okay,
direct notice.
go ahead.
The company's obligated to provide direct notice to those 9 households. How is it done?
It's a letter, yeah.
What kind of letter?
Registered letter,
It was a registered letter that was received.
or a letter, I'm not sure how it was sent, to be honest.
From the planning department.
Which it,
No. No, this
It
is
was
for
sent
the
by
actual
them.
meeting.
So I
So-
I don't know how it was sent.
okay, so a registered letter would require a signature.
Exactly.
Were those
I don't
signatures?
know,
I
I
think it
don't
was a
know that it was a
regular-
registered letter. I'm just saying, maybe it was, I don't know. We weren't, that wasn't the township that sent that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've moved this thing along, so you've checked the boxes as the thing goes. So they're required to provide direct notification, email, believe it or not, registered mail or courier. So which was it?
So the letter that was sent in October 2023 was sent by Compass
No,
Energy.
it was in September it was sent.
In September,
Yeah, for the
for the
meeting.
October meeting.
Yeah.
That was check boxes for the company, not for the township. So
They're
it was-
but they're
it was-
obligated to follow the procedures laid out by the IESO.
Right, which is not not
Well,
jurisdiction under.
you're the guys that are approving things as they go along.
We
So
provided.
we approved it
No,
in February.
So,
That was
so then
our-
who is it that's actually watching the company to make sure that they're fulfilling their obligations to move this along?
so the IESO would have made sure that those obligations were met, and that's how they were approved.
Well, we've got people here that are directly across the 417 from that project. It's, it's stone's throw, and they got no notification. It's Mr. Otterman. Okay, so if he didn't get it, who in the hell are they?
Are they within 120 meters? I'm just,
They're-
that's the law,
know.
that's the law. That's not the laws we make.
So maybe there should be an
That's-
amendment to this act to expand it.
I wouldn't disagree
Sure.
with you at all. That is,
How do we do
that's,
that?
Through
that
the
is
provincial government.
talking to the province, and I can tell you that talking to the province is sometimes like
Because it is
talk.
a large-scale disaster, the amendment should be changed to include a larger span of area.
Don't disagree. Yep, I don't disagree on that.
So if
Go
they
ahead.
haven't at some point fulfilled their obligations, do you guys have grounds to pause this?
If they didn't fulfill it,
Right.
we could have, yeah, but if
Okay.
they would have had to go through the IESO, but we can only pause it, IESO would have paused it based on the fact that they didn't, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just a point of clarification. So what was actually approved on February 24th was a rezoning. So the rezoning was from agricultural to general.
Yeah, no,
So
but
it wasn't,
I'm talking about the procedures
Agreed.
leading up to it.
And so
So if they
what-
didn't follow the laid out procedures, if they didn't do it, is this thing was it still moved along? Like,
They-
like,
they did
you
an
must have been
application.
curious, did it not pique your curiosity a little bit when nobody showed up at that public meeting in Dunvegan?
They were also very curious because they had done what we believed as notification.
Did they though?
They had done
Were
the
these people
notification.
notified? How do you, they have to prove
It's
that
not
they're.
up to us to prove it. So
Well, they do.
It's up to the
we
IESO.
were invitees to the meeting. We
Yeah.
didn't even have to attend.
No,
the
I'm
meeting.
not, okay,
Right.
but you guys are moving it along.
We didn't
So
move it
who's-
along.
So, well,
Not at the time.
when you approve rezoning and you do things like that, you move it along.
Yeah, a rezoning.
But the
That's,
notification.
that's what the municipality's responsibility is to that.
And the notification in
Right.
2023 was not dictated by us. It was dictated by the provincial government.
So if these guys are going along and they're just kind of, oh, well, we send out notices, well, we don't know if anybody received them or anything like that, but we're going to keep going. We have a meeting, no, nobody shows up. Oh, well, we're just going to keep going.
We're not the ones that okay it from that point.
Well, then who
It's-
oversees
it's
it then?
The province does.
province.
The province oversees that. Go ahead.
I'd recommend you speak to your MPP.
No, I don't think I'll do that. I've got my local councillors right here, so,
Yeah. That's, Roy, that's, the
No,
best
okay,
explanation I
okay,
can
so-
give is that
so-
the province okays it at that point.
Say they
It
didn't
gets
give-
Gets to us for a zoning change.
if they hadn't given sufficient notice for that public meeting, would you say, geez, that's not fair? Our constituents didn't know about this. So, we just, we can't,
not-
we can't approve this, we can't move this along.
No, I don't think it's up to us to be able to, I don't think we have the jurisdiction to do that.
What does North Glengarry get out of this exactly anyway?
Nothing. We
So
get,
what the hell did you sign it for then?
because I think it's going to be needed in the future.
So who?
All the professionals out there,
So we get the risk. So we get the risk and we get nothing.
we get tax money. That's what we get,
Yeah,
taxation.
the difference between the agriculture and the rezoned agriculture.
And the rezoned agricultural with an industrial use.
And what about the fire department? Who, now, on the company the consulting firm website, they say that they'll pay for the training.
Yes,
Who pays for the equipment? Oh, we do, I suppose.
I believe. Matt, you want to answer that?
The fire service doesn't require any additional equipment to fight these type of fires. Should there be any other experts in this room, I'd be more than happy to answer any additional questions in terms of fire suppression. In terms of extinguishing these type of fires within our community, it's not any different. Yes, the company does provide additional training. That's specific to how the emergency response plan is going to be for this site, and that's to train our firefighters on the location and the fire suppression equipment that's on site, as well as potential water reservoirs and so forth. So that's the type of additional training that's going to be provided to our firefighters. It's no different than responding to any other type of battery type of incident that we respond to on an ongoing basis, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, somebody else can go.
Good evening. So on the very same day that North Glengarry Council passed the zoning amendment to facilitate the BEST project, our neighboring municipality passed a bylaw extending a ban on the construction of any solar, wind, or battery storage in the Nation Township. In a phone call, the nation's mayor expressed his strong opposition to BEST due to the dangers it poses to the community. He also stated that he had no intention of sending, quote, his boys to responding to this kind of fire because no amount of training exists to mitigate the potential risks of a fire or explosion of this nature. Has this council considered the opposition of our neighboring municipality to this project, i.e. associated property, health, legal, environmental costs from the nation in the event of a fire? And has the nation been consulted, or has there been any correspondence with the Nation Township?
Yes, we've been in correspondence with the Nation Township. They knew. It came up at one of their meetings. They sent us a letter saying what had come up at that meeting. And are you talking about the mayor of the nation or the mayor of Castleman?
So I spoke with Francis Brunet, who is the mayor of the Nation Township, and Tim Stewart, a councillor that sits on the council. Both of them gave me permission to speak on their behalf here tonight, and they said that there's been no correspondence with the Nation Township.
That's not true.
Well, anyways.
Well, I'm giving you that it's not true.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask this question. My name is Richard Hudon. I'm a resident of North Glengarry for 13 years now. I appreciate all the hard work you people are doing. I mean, I know you sent me an email at 10 o'clock at night one time, so that's much appreciated. From my perspective, I'm a taxpayer, and I know that these additional costs are going to be involved here. So my question is, because I'm a taxpayer, I'd like to know, can this council guarantee the residents of North Glengarry that the constructors, investors, operators, and owners of this BESS will solely be responsible for any and all costs resulting from fire or other mishaps at this facility, so that the residents of North Glengarry would be completely compensated for associated property, health, legal, and environmental costs instead of our taxes? Okay, taxes keep going up every year, and I'm sure if things escalate, and as they will, it's almost inevitable, but we don't know how long it's going to take. And whatever mitigation we take comes out of my taxes and yours.
Okay, I'll ask the chief to answer that.
Okay, so.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The North Glengarry Fire Department does have an establishing and regulating bylaw that does outline cost recovery for any type of incidents. That includes not only for this type of incident, but any type of incident that is above and beyond the normal requirements that the fire service can provide. Therefore, there would be a cost recovery should there be an incident at this site.
May I address this?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. My concern is that now we're adding a possible additional burden in case something happens. And in my mind, I have engineering knowledge. I'm fairly well educated. I went to university. And I understand the process that you guys had to go through. You may or may not have received all of the information you should have had. And that's a major concern for me. If I was in your chair, Mr. Mayor, I would be rather uncomfortable with the kind of reaction you're getting here. And I would propose at one point that maybe you could reconsider to appeal your own decision in council, based not only on the reaction here, but on more material that you can gather on the possibility of a very large conflagration releasing hydrogen fluoride. You know what that is?
Yes,
It's a very toxic gas. His men will be exposed to that, no matter how much water they pour into it. And that's, to me, those are my fellow residents. I don't want them to be exposed to that. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
I hear a lot of talk about experts in here. I am an expert. I've got a graduate degree in genetic toxicology. I reviewed huge projects for the federal government. I was the co-chair of cleanup protocols for the Great Lakes, and I was head of Health Canada's renewal of the Canadian Environmental Protection Act. Will you, when I looked at this proposal, I saw nothing that would substantiate any of the background. Will you, at the very least, pass this by me as an expert, all the information you get? There was no environmental assessment, there was nothing.
Absolutely.
And to do a proper thing, and I will do it for no cost to the township.
We will pass you all the information that we've received.
The other thing, which is totally out in left field, we are going through a tariff war with the United States. Has the township done anything about acquisition of things from the United States? Most of these projects are using Tesla's Mega Pack. And I don't know about you, but I'm not terribly comfortable with something that large in our county coming from Elon Musk, especially since all the security and safety provisions have been shut down.
Wait.
Something to consider.
Okay, thank you. Many further questions? I can see some people. Anybody trying to get up to the microphone?
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
So, I've been a resident here, and I'm trying to get some information.
Can we get
Okay, yeah,
by
what's your name?
Dylan Winter.
Thank
So,
you.
I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to ask a question. Okay? I worked for 1 year with the National Research Council of Canada. I worked in a coastal river basin that basically what we do is we build structures and test structures. We've tested hydro dams, we've tested all kinds of things. During my time there, the one thing we were not allowed to test inside of a building was a lithium battery. That's even in small scale models of hydro dams. We were not allowed to test them indoors. We had to build a wave flume outside due to the dangers and risks. This company, the Ocean Coastal and River Engineering Division of the federal government, also will not purchase a lithium-powered wave generation platform because of its fire hazards and risks. So if the federal government won't put it in their own research buildings, I would ask why we're putting it in a field. But my question primarily is, can the fire chief tell me exactly what the procedure is for fighting a lithium fire?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As always, we'd be attending the incident like any other response. This would most likely, in the event of an incident, would be a defensive approach for our fire service. Based on, there'd be a lot of burn off in terms of studies have indicated and training that has been documented is most likely the battery storage unit will be burnt off. In terms of mitigating any type of, there wouldn't be an offensive approach. As any incident that the fire service does respond to, though, our primary is always the threat of life, then environment and property. So we keep to those principles, and this would be no different for any other incident that respond to this type of incident.
Okay, so if I was to ask you how you put out a house fire, I bet you could give me step-by-step instructions how that house fire is to be handled, put out, and addressed after the fact. If you can't tell me how a lithium fire is supposed to be handled in that same scenario, how can you tell me that there's no cost to the municipality or to the people here, because you don't even know how it's fought to begin with in definitive explanation?
We are going to be receiving that training.
But you signed off on it before you did?
Your tone, just calm it down a little bit. You can ask me the same question in a calmer tone, and we'll answer it.
Okay.
Yes, because we've been told how to handle it. They've given us these, they've been talking to our fire chief, they've been talking to other fire chiefs in the area. We will be trained for this. We'll be ready for it. And that doesn't cost the municipality money. We have to go there, everything will be charged out to the company.
Well, the truth is, he doesn't know whether it would cost, because at the end of the day, you don't have a definitive procedure that is written by the letter that tells you exactly in absolute how a procedure is to be handled for a lithium fire. And believe it or not, Canada-wide, there is no preferred method for handling lithium fires. They'll handle it on a case-by-case basis, and that is a fact.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. To answer this resident's question in terms of how I fight fires, it is no different for any other incident that we respond to. I'm not going to answer in terms of how I respond to a house fire versus a battery energy system fire, because every incident provides its very different type of responses that's required. So therefore, through my experience, which I have a lot of experience with multitude of incidents within our township, where we responded to multitude of various different dangerous goods incidents on the 417, whether it's rail, car, we deal with these types of incidents on an ongoing basis. Our type of training is very broad. We have experts throughout the province that provide us a multitude of training, and our firefighters in North Glengarry train for this ongoing. If anybody in this room believes that myself as a fire chief has zero concerns for the health and safety of my firefighters, I could tell you, and council could certainly back me up in the sense of I hold a very, very high level of health and safety for our firefighters. I would never put a firefighter in terms of risk. That is, we follow risk management principles, which will be followed for this type of incident. This incident is not any different. As I continuously repeat over and over, we have a wide variety of incidents that is outlined in our community risk assessment of how we respond to incidents, and we will deal with it as we always deal with every incident. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask somebody else to ask a question. If we could, I'd like to talk to you offline through a phone call. If you could give your phone number to the person in the back, that would be great. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alain Mainville. I'm Councillor for the Nation, Ward 2. I know the ward or close to those batteries is Ward 1. Me, I was invited by my brother because my brother have land very close to those sites. It's how I know this meeting in October has, and I assist to this the meeting. I report to the municipality the week after, and not many people know about that. And I know after the municipality take in contact with the municipality and learn about more about that. The only thing we're concerned there, because if you got a fire or something happen, probably the Saint Isidore are going to be the closest one of this thing than Maxville or the other one. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So I guess my question to you is, you were at the meeting and you reported back to your council in the nation.
Yes.
Thank you, because
The week after.
Right.
Well, after
in 2023.
Yes.
Because we were told that your council knew nothing about it. So I just
Well,
wanted to thank you.
Well, I reported to the council, and nobody in the council know about this plant or the
Prior to you, yes.
But after I think they talk about with you, and
Yes.
they got thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Next question, anybody else?
Well, us, we got a bylaw there. It's me and Stuart put a bylaw for no windmill and no nothing, but it's only municipal bylaw. It's not a provincial bylaw because we got no.
Yes, so to that same point, I mean, you guys have had it pretty bad with
windmill.
the Nation Rise windmills, as
Yeah.
well as all the fields of solar panels. So
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from.
Sorry for my English.
No, thank you. I see there's somebody else coming up. Yep.
Hello, my name is Dean McKinnon. I work as an industrial millwright. It's relevant to what I'm about to ask. So lithium-ion batteries require preventative maintenance in order to prevent an environmental disaster, correct? So my question is, who will be performing this preventative maintenance, and who will be paying for it? Will it come from taxpayers?
No. It'll be the company that does that, and that's through rules that are put down by the provincial and federal government.
Correct.
So they have to follow those guidelines, and all the costs are on them.
And who will be there to make sure, to police them, essentially, because companies love to cut costs. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's the IESO that, again, that is oversees this entire project, all these projects.
thank you.
And
What's
Hydro
that?
One also.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions? We don't want to leave anybody out. Go ahead, thank you.
Eric Bornstein, Old Military Road. I just want to clarify what the fire, basically, I believe what he said is we would let it burn and we would stand back defensively, spray around. There is no way to put out a lithium fire as far as I can tell, to the best of my knowledge. And I'm not an expert, I just read a lot.
Again, with the safety shutoffs that they have with these, the minute things heat up, it shuts down. So there are better safety standards than there were 2 years ago.
Yeah, and there will be, actually, there's going to be better batteries, so putting them in right now is ridiculous. Why not wait for the better batteries to come out?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Everybody here is talking about lithium.
Put your microphone and get close to it.
It's not
Turn it on.
It's not on. No, it's not on.
He never speaks at a meeting. I don't let him.
The little red light has to come on.
There we
Can
go.
you hear me now? Okay, most everybody is here because of the fear of the posters that were put out and stuff put on Facebook, the lithium-ion batteries, okay? And they are used in these BESS systems in huge and big operations, all right? These are lithium iron phosphate batteries. They are the new generation battery. They're for a lesser power consumption. It's not for a city of 50,000 people or whatever. It's not a backup unit for that. Just a little bit of, in the last couple of days, I've been going through this, looking for information and whatnot.
What is
but
it a backup for?
It's the new improved battery. It works on lower temperatures. They're easier to monitor and everything else.
Who's going to use this electricity?
You are.
For 4 hours?
It's a
Could save a
backup.
life.
Do we actually have power failures that don't involve lines going down? We're talking about replacing a generator station. That never breaks.
There are some places that they can't build factories in East Hawkesbury, in the nation, because there isn't enough power during peak periods. It's for peak periods. It makes sense. It's a battery system that takes power during the non-peak hours, fills it, and is ready to go if during peak periods that we need it. That's the whole premise of the system.
So why doesn't hydro do that?
They are. It's right across from the large hydro plant. So hydro is involved with these guys there. That's why it's put there.
You know who these guys are? They used to run hydro. Now we have the most expensive electricity in North America, and these same guys are coming up with this idea that hasn't really been proven to work economically. You're saying it's better than building a gas generator? I don't think so, but
That's
That's
I guess your opinion or their opinion. That's I hear you. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Danica. You had something over there. I won't make you go through the crowd.
So what would be the response time to, if ever a fire happens? Because it's just safety that I'm concerned about, and I would want to know how long it would take the fire department to get to the plant, and what would be the risk between that time and putting the fire out to not only us, but the fields and the livestock around with the fumes.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, response times can vary based on locations all through North Glengarry. Depends on the time of day. In terms of response, we typically have responding units within 5 minutes. Arrival to the site could vary depending on weather conditions, whatever the case may be. In terms of, this is why these facilities are built with fire protection systems internally, to reduce that spread of fire until fire service can respond and potentially try to mitigate the situation at hand.
And what are the risks to us livestock in the fields if from when the fire starts to if the system fails to when the fire ends?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of risk, air monitoring would start in terms of upon arrival of the fire service. The risks from the time the fire starts to the time that arrival, I wouldn't be able to speak to that in terms of any type of specific. It all varies on weather conditions, where if the winds are going in a certain direction of a farm, that would all be mitigated upon our arrival, but I wouldn't be able to speak to any type of specifics, conditions of what the fire could cause prior to our arrival.
Okay, thank you. Heinz?
Thank you. My name is Heinz Kasrum. I live in Alexandria. My question is to you, Jamie, and the council members. Whenever you make decisions in regards to projects of any kind, and one like this about BESS, do you consider the cost and benefit, make an assessment of the costs versus the benefits on a usual basis? Is that correct?
To be honest, no. I mean, on a planning, when we're doing a zoning change, it's based on practices within the province. It's based on many factors. For when we're talking about risk or profit versus that doesn't really play into it. What you do with your land is we want to monitor what you're going to do with it, and then after that, it's up to you to get a building permit. After that, there's steps all the way through this to get to that point.
So you're basically saying you are monitoring what I'm doing on my property, including burning a fire, as an example, right? You need a permit. So because you want to control the risks. So in a project of that magnitude, I think it would be prudent for the township, the council, the members of the council, the council to take that in consideration, what long-term effect this kind of a project would have for the entire community, and is there any benefit for the community at all? I don't see a benefit to this community. All I see is liability. liability in regards to the livestock, the people who live in the area, and I can tell you as well that it's quite a possibility that the individuals who reside in the area would maybe even possibly get their insurance canceled because of the project, because the insurances will not.
That's not true.
That happened in LA, that happened in other cities. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's not
It is
true,
not,
Jonathan.
that's not just a story, that's the reality.
And I take your comments, but I can't speak for every member of council, was presented. We thoroughly looked at everything. Everything was given. I've lived here my whole life. I'm not about to put the Township of North Glengarry residents at risk if I don't believe that this is something that is safe. And anybody that thinks I would do that, you're sadly mistaken. I'm all about North Glengarry, and I think every member on this council do the same thing. And you talk about the benefit. The benefit is that we are going to grow in the future. We're going to need that power. We are looking at housing 250 to 350 units in Maxville. We're looking at 800 to 1,000 units in North Glengarry. We're going to need those during peak periods. So yes, it's important for our infrastructure in the future. Deputy Mayor, you had something?
Yes, I just want to agree with Mayor McDonald on that point. And yes, we do consider the risks versus the benefits in every decision we make around this council table. Sometimes they're more legislative and sort of not sort of boots on the ground stuff. But in this case, we did. I can tell you that we've gone to a number of important conferences recently where we meet with the province directly and ministers and organizations like Hydro and IESO present to us. And they've been telling us that we are going to be having an energy crisis if we don't manage the way we can supply our energy. And I don't think they're saying that just to say it. I think there's probably something behind it. And so we've gained this information over time. We're not experts in it, but we've been having this discussion for a while. The province is obviously leading this with Hydro. There's got to be some expertise behind it and some understanding of where this is really going. And so we knew that these kinds of requests were going to be coming to local councils in order to be able to manage the energy needs in the future. And absolutely, we are going to need more energy, especially, as Mayor McDonald points out, if we want some growth and prosperity in this region, which we do. So we need to be realistic here. And I want to tell you that when BSS or Compass first presented to us, which I think was September, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't impressed. I had 101 questions, and they were all the same questions that you're asking now. And it was a public meeting. It was at a council meeting. And I said, look, I am not going to support a project like this and put the residents of North Glengarry at risk unless I've got the confidence that you're going to be able to manage this project safely and maintain the proper safety over time, mitigate potential issues as they come up, and make sure that this is as safe a project as it can be. Because I can tell you, I understand that there are risks associated with this project. But when we look at where this province is going and needs to go, and us as a community, a broader community, and looking at prosperity into the future, we need to look at these kinds of projects, and we need to balance those risks and those benefits. And that's what we've done around this table, in complete transparency. So after I got those questions, because my hand was down, after I got answers to those questions, I asked more questions. Councillors asked more questions. At the end of the day, I was satisfied with those answers. My job as a municipal politician is to make good decisions on behalf of the people I represent. I believe In this instance, we have done that. Thank you.
May I make a follow-up comment, please? So I understand that you inquired about the risks, but in all honesty, would you expect that a proposing party like Compass, who is basically doing that to make profit, is having any interest that any negative information or any information that would be counterproductive to that project be revealed or be proposed? And in addition, if you talk about energy crisis, this is a red herring. Do you know that when you look at the hydropower dams along the St. Lawrence rivers are only utilized by about 40%? So nobody can tell me that there will be an energy crisis unless they want an energy crisis. There's enough supply that could be used, but they're intentionally not being used. During that period of time when all these contracts being assigned for solar panels, these contracts started to be signed as 83 cents a kilowatt hour, while hydro could have been produced along the St. Lawrence River at less than 2 cents a kilowatt hour. So this is not accurate.
Heinz, just let me stop you for a second.
No, because you used that as an argument, and the power grid, in addition, has nothing to do with this project either. It's a local power
with
grid.
regards
that
to
we're
the way
talking about.
these projects are designed by IESO and the province, you know, we do not, first of all, have control over that. And I've got my own share of questions and concerns with the way these projects are designed and the middlemen that are created. But that is, and that's something that I think, you know, next time we're in front of a minister, we need to talk to them about that.
So,
but that's not what's on the table right now.
What is on the table? You're saying you're not in control, so why are you agreeing to something you're not in control of? I will never agree to something I'm not in control of.
Because that wasn't one of my questions, Heinz, when I was asking my question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any further questions? Yeah, come on forward, please.
So just in response to what Hans said, your answer, Ms. Williams, you said that everything that the town meeting, that's all on record?
Well, you can go.
No, your questions that you asked for, that you said that you were concerned about as well.
Yes, you could go on YouTube and watch those.
So my question here now is, we've heard from this side, the power side. We haven't heard from these councillors. None of them have said anything. Are you guys aware of what's going on? Have you been, like, you know, I understand this is the senior side, but this is the, you know, like, we still need to hear from all councillors. We've been hearing from this side. You guys have been staying silent. We want to hear from your side as well. And if you have any questions to ask us, like these guys have been asking, but you guys have been silent. That's all I have to say.
This is a question period. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No one has asked me a question.
No, but these
we're getting a lot of information from people, you know, about what they're, you know, what they believe.
You haven't spoken.
Okay, he's trying to answer you.
I shouldn't speak. As far as my own personal opinion, I'm not here to give that, you know. I'm here to respond to your questions. Your question is, you haven't said anything, so I haven't been asked. And you know, I'm with the mayor and my fellow councillors that this project was examined very closely. We've had so much information given to us, and I've been through it all. And you know, not to mention, I take a personal interest in this type of thing, being, you know, former geography teacher, and you know, interested in the environment, the risks to people. And you know, I wonder how do they feel in Pickering, where they have a nuclear power plant? You know, potential disaster and death, instant death to millions of people. This is nowhere near that, and you know, they've accepted that. Millions of people live within the danger zone of the Pickering nuclear reactor. So batteries, and as Mr. Mayor said, the technology in them has advanced. It's a world of 8 billion people, and there have been fires, and we get all the news of everything that happens all over the world, and you bunch that all together and you think there's a whole disaster going on. I'm just, I don't think the risk is great enough for us to abandon the project, but we can't do that anyway. We've gone through the process, and here we are. Believe me, we've all done our research, and we've analyzed it, and we've all been very skeptical about it, and we've been convinced that it's everything fell into place. Everyone had their chance to speak, and we went ahead and said, let's continue then. Everything seems fine. So, disaster.
Michael, did you want to say something just so that, take it away from the power side?
The old side.
Yeah, the old side.
I'm not that old.
I don't want to answer. Show of hands, how many people have dealt with IESO in this room? How many people have dealt directly with Hydro One other than having your house connected? 1, thank you. Was that 2? Thank you. 3, 4, okay. How many people have phones on them right now?
I can't hear you.
I'm curious. How many people have phones on you right now? Hands. Are we worried about these batteries? And let's be clear, we're talking about lithium-ion batteries.
They catch fire.
We're talking about lithium-ion, right?
Little tiny
We're also talking about lithium iron in these. So I'd like to say, the sheets that were put in mailboxes last week, the fear-mongering, I'm impressed.
Shame on you.
I'm sorry, no.
You ought to look up Tom Harrison, what he had to say on the presentation that he gave that I was in attendance to.
I was asked to speak. I'm going to speak. I was asked to speak. I'm going to speak. Thank you. Heinz's point about they're making up an energy shortage. I had a discussion with an engineer from Hydro One in 2005. At that point in time, I was given a heads up that there was something coming that no one really knew about. Move forward. We get the Green Energy Act in 2010. I subscribed. I have solar panels. I signed up at 80.2, not 83, which never existed. 80.2. That was changed within 6 months because the uptake was very rapid, much more rapid than they anticipated. Initially, when they set out the act, it wasn't going to be reviewed for 2 years. It was reviewed within less than 6 months. So they are reactive. This project is not our say. Our say on this is a zoning amendment. We have considered the project. We have considered the need for power in the area. We have considered the technology that has been presented to us that will be used. We have considered the land that is, I'm going to call it marginal farmland. The proximity to the Canadian Shield that comes out of the ground there is within, I'm going to say about 60 meters. I'm guesstimating that. We could put it on a map if we need to. There will be a site plan done on this. There will be controls for runoff. There are fire suppression technologies in these containers.
What about the current geological reports? Well, just so we know what happens to the land going forward.
In terms of baseline created now, that'll be done as part of the project, which is reported to IESO and Hydro One, not our purview. This stuff was.
Does have to give it to a project manager though, and it has to be okay, approved by the municipality.
I was asked to speak. I'm going to speak. This has been taken out of municipalities' hands in terms of the approval for energy projects. As I said, our purview here was a zoning change. That's it. That's it. All the rules were followed. Everything was examined and re-examined. We cannot make people engage. I would have loved to have seen all of you folks when we had the initial meeting.
Yes. Nobody knows about this.
Come to the meeting.
Yeah. Most of the people here don't.
As I just said, we cannot force you to engage.
Your community it should have been, like, I'm interested in my community, that's why we're here.
Yes.
And that's, if you're so interested in it, you could have tried to reach out to more people to get us here like this.
Yes.
You guys didn't reach us, we reached upon ourselves to get here.
You're right, you did, and you did it after the process was done.
I know we did not know.
Again, lack of communication.
Again, we cannot force you to be engaged. If you're engaged, you're watching every council meeting we have every 2 weeks. You know what is coming up. You know what is happening. We can't force that on you.
Why wasn't it announced more?
There's chores, it was done during the harvest season, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, like, I mean, let's be real, okay?
Listen,
I'm gonna do
I
that.
can't force you to
Listen
engage.
her now.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep, you have a question, ma'am?
No, seriously, I had the floor before.
This is senior staff. She is not answering you.
Not an elected official?
No.
I'm just wondering, most of the people that are here tonight is because they didn't want the project in the first place. And nobody was told about it, nobody was asked your opinion, nobody had a vote, even the people who live around there. I have a brother who lives 2 miles from Dunvegan, and he didn't know anything about it. It's not because he doesn't watch TV or read the paper. Why was this not advertised more? I mean, the people, I've talked to, I don't know how many people, nobody knows about this project. And you're supposed to have talked about it in 2023? We haven't heard anything. The people here tonight are here because they don't want that project in Dunvegan. Nobody wants it. Well, I know you don't care. I know it doesn't affect you because you've already made up your mind, which is not right. We are the people who are going to be living with that. Not you or you or you.
Well, we don't live in the township of North Glengarry?
Pardon?
We don't live here?
You live here, but you're not going to be in Dunvegan, are you?
You know, how does that, he lives in Kenyon Township?
I'm just saying, most of the people did not know about that project.
We followed the procedures
You
that are
did.
set out.
You
That's all
did.
we can do. We follow those procedures. If you want something different, well, we can bring that up to the province, but this is done in every municipality.
And without the
Every-
people's consent or anything,
We,
right? So that's not right.
okay, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
One quick question. I don't have much trust in companies making money. So we have a lady who offered, very qualified, to look into the safety of this. If she comes out with a result that she thinks it's unsafe, will you consider not allowing the rezoning, or is this a done deal? Are we all here for nothing? It's a done deal.
It's, as we said at the beginning, it's a done deal. There's nothing we can do at this point. What I would like
Even if
is-
it's unsafe?
So if she could bring forward what her concerns are, we'll bring those concerns forward to Bess. But I can tell you, we've done a lot of homework on this, and we feel comfortable with it. So unfortunately, not everybody will, but
Well, if it's unsafe,
thank you.
we won't.
Okay, I'm going to take last question.
Raymond Leduc, Leduc Dale Farms. We have a farm about 1 kilometer from that site. We were never informed. I learned about this not even a week ago. So that's not right. And my neighbors, Mr. the McRae's, never knew about. They were told there was a meeting, and then they were told it was canceled. So something went wrong there. So that's not right. That's so wrong. You guys should reconsider this. Use your conscience, for the love of God. Go with your conscience. This is so dangerous. We're the one feeding you. We're the farmers. And if something happens to our cows are probably might be all gone. And then the land we don't know. So please go with your conscience. I hope you have a conscience, and for the love of God, use your conscience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming out this evening, and with the exception of a few people yelling out, but everybody was very respectful, and we really appreciate that. We take your comments to heart, and I'll be speaking with this lady. Okay, and also back here, you left your number over there. Just like to have a conversation with you guys, and Pardon? How much did who get paid? Oh, the council. You're hiding back there because you're a coward. Keep yelling it out. Do you know how much I get paid a year to listen to all this great stuff and do what I can for the community? About $33,000 for a year. Anytime you would like to take the job, put your name in and run against me. Got it? Don't be a coward sitting back there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll take a 2-minute break. everyone who joined us for that question period. So we will move on to staff report A, Community Services Department. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report CS 2025-02, and the Council approves the following schedule for the 2025 Meet Me on Main Street events. Saturday, June 7th in Dunvegan, Thursday, July 10th in Maxville, Thursday, July 24th in Alexandria, and Saturday, August 23rd in Dalkeith.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So following the council meeting held on February 24th, 2025, staff went back and sought further input from the respective recreation associations along with community partners surrounding finalizing the dates for the 2025 Meet Me on Main Street events. So as presented, these dates have been confirmed as agreeable to the community hosts and have also been established to not interfere with any other community events or festivals throughout the summer. So as noted at the previous council meeting, Apple Hill and Glen Robertson would now act on a rotating basis with the Dunvegan and Dalkeith event. So as such, the Apple Hill and Glen Robertson Meet Me on Main Street events would be deferred until 2026, subject to any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from anyone on council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, unopposed. Okay, moving on to CS 2025-03 Ontario Trillium Foundation Grant Application. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report CS 2025-03 Ontario Trillium Foundation Grant Application for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in February 2025, the Ontario Trillium Foundation launched their annual grant application period for the capital grant stream. As a small municipality, the Township of North Glengarry is eligible to apply under the OTF priority of either fostering physical active lifestyles or enriching lives through arts, culture, and heritage. So upon review of eligible projects for this funding, the Township of North Glengarry saw an opportunity with the Island Park Tennis Court renewal project. At present, the tennis courts located at Island Park are in need of quite a bit of repair. There's some cracks that have been developed over the last few years. Despite staff efforts to professionally repair those cracks through patching and resurfacing efforts, the project in itself will require an actual excavation to entirely redo the project and the surface of the courts, in which we have an opportunity to align this project with some of the feedback that we've received from the community from the Parks and Recreation survey that was put out last year, along with some of the members that regularly use the pickleball courts at our Tim Hortons Dome here in Alexandria. There's a lot of feedback supporting more pickleball access throughout the community. So the idea would be with this project, if approved through the OTF funding, we would use this funding to support the renewal of the tennis courts and add in additional pickleball courts as well with that project. So this was originally considered as a 2025 priority in the Recreation Department budget. However, due to other capital funding priorities, as well as to limit the impact on the tax base, this project was not in fact submitted as part of the 2025 capital budget submission. So as such, we have submitted the application through the OTF funding in hopes of receiving the funding, which would potentially cover up to 100% of the project cost if approved. So subject to any questions, staff have submitted the grant application in hopes of receiving the funding to support this project.
Okay, and when are we anticipating hearing back, and when would we see construction actually go ahead?
So the grant funding is for the 2025 period. So should we hear a response, it would likely be late spring, early summer, with a goal to start the project or begin the tender process as of July and August of this year.
Okay. Questions? Go ahead. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What this particular funding envelope, what was the maximum that could be requested?
So the funding is up to $200,000. Right now, based on the quotes that we've received for the project, it's likely that the project would cost in and around that amount. However, should there be a requirement to go over or exceed the $200,000 grant, that funding that we would be eligible for, we would have to come back to council to see if there is an opportunity to reallocate other budget funding towards this project.
Okay, I was just asking that because it's a relatively small envelope. It wouldn't have done anything for us for the Maxville Sports Complex, so that's why I was wondering. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any further? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say, Stephanie, I think it's a good attempt, at least with Trillium. We know it's been on the books and we know it has to happen because the degradation on this has been increasing. We know it's going to get to a point where we're not going to be able to let people use it because there's going to be a risk to it. And just in terms of keeping the park up and keeping our recreational infrastructure up, if we can get the funding out of them, then fantastic. So good job. Thank you. Hopefully we can get it done this year.
I would still be able to play on it because given the way I played, that wouldn't hurt my game, so. Yeah, probably, yes. Further questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Councillor Martin, are you opposed? Okay, just your hand didn't go up. Okay, thank you. There are none opposed. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to the Treasury Department, DR 2025-01, final reading for the minor improvement on the Real Diot branch of the R.A. McLennan Drain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives report DR 2025-01, final reading for the minor improvement on the Real Diot branch of the R.A. McLennan Drain, and that bylaw 56/2024 be read a third and adopted in open council this 10th day of March 2025.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Zoe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In December of 2024, Council heard the presentation from Shade Group for the minor improvement on the Real Diot branch of the R.A. McLennan. At that time, the first and second readings for the bylaw were given. This report is to bring the bylaw forward for the third and final reading. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Okay, TR 2025-04-2024, reserve update. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report number TR 2025-04-2024, reserve update, and that Council of the Township of North Glengarry approves the transfers to and from reserves as outlined in Schedule A.
Okay, thank you. Zoe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As required by legislation, Council must approve transfers to and from reserves. The transfers are summarized in this report. Some have been brought to Council previous, however, I've summarized everything. Significant transfers include the use of $500,000 from the CCBF fund towards the Dominion Street Bridge project, as well as $425,000 for additional work on the Dominion Street water main refurbishment project. After accounting for all transfers to and from reserves, the ending balance for 2024 is $7.08 million. This includes funds that were carried forward for projects to be completed in 2025.
Okay, thank you. Questions on the reserve balances? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so I don't remember last year where we were at, whether we ate into our reserves for the budget, but this year, clearly we did. And I just think we need to keep an eye on our reserve balance, make sure that it doesn't, that we're not eating into it every year, that we're contributing to it and keeping it up there for rainy days where we're going to need those funds when we can't get funding and that kind of thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Zoe, a lot the reserve balances was because of work that wasn't done that's being put into this year's budget?
Correct, yes, there were transfers in for that, and there was also transfers out for other projects. I do want to note, we include the CCBF as part of this reserve fund, so we did take it down. However, it's not technically a reserve, it is just deferred revenue.
Go ahead.
If I may, yes, I understand, and that's what, $500,000 there, right?
Yes.
Okay, but it still means that we drew it down $1,200,000. And so I'm just saying, we need to keep an eye on that.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Okay, moving on to TR 2025-05, 2025 tax rate bylaw 07-2025. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move on myself, second by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report TR 2025-05 tax rate bylaw, and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry adopt bylaw 07-2025, being a bylaw to adopt the tax rates for the year 2025, and that the bylaw 07-2025 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 10th day of March 2025.
Okay, thank you. Zoe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On January 27, 2025, the United Counties of SD&G passed both their tax ratios and tax rates for 2025. These numbers are required for North Glengarry to calculate the tax rate. The total amount of property tax required is comprised of the municipal portion, the county's portion, and the education portion. Council approved a total levy of $7.1 million. Based on the United Counties approved tax rates, they will require $8.2 million, and the education rates remained unchanged, resulting in $2.6 million, for a total of $17.9 million tax dollars being raised. Of this amount, 46% is sent to the United Counties, 14% is sent to the province for their education system, and the remaining 40% stays in North Glengarry. The total average percentage tax rate change is 2.91%. The average assessed value for residents in North Glengarry is $246,000, which would result in an increase of just over $123 in taxes annually. Schedule A shows the 2025 tax rates for each property class. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Zoe, you may not be able to answer this. I don't know, Sarah, if you remember over the last number of years, let's say 5 years, has the proportion that goes to the counties and then the portion we keep stayed relatively stable?
Yes. If anything, it's gone a little bit more towards the county. Like, as you can see, even this year with our percentage being lower and theirs being higher, you do sort of start to change that pie a little bit. And with the provincial government not changing their education tax rates, they're almost taking less of a piece of the pie as well, being that the assessments are stable, right? So.
Is that a concern?
Well, I
No.
think it's we've been talking about that concern with social services and, the hit that we took this year from the city of Cornwall on that. And we're looking at Glenstowe-Dun Lodge at the counties as well. And so it's been a tough go for sure. And even for us municipally and for the counties, the costs of construction is through the roof on everything. So hopefully with more people getting back into the game, we'll get some better pricing on, for road paving and other things like that that are the biggest amounts of money that we spend.
Yeah, if I can just follow.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, and, well, at least we were able to get the portion that was required in order to be able to run the municipality with only a 3.27 tax increase, so that's not bad.
Okay, further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
I would just like to say, we did 3.27, which I thought was fantastic because we've had no new assessment.
Yes.
Since 2020. And I'm going to keep harping on this. I think all of us are going to keep harping on this.
The values are now 9 years old.
Yeah, it's 2016, right? Yeah, it's asinine, absolutely asinine.
And just because I don't want them mad at me, North Dundas is coming in at 17%.
They heard you.
Yeah. Sorry, Mayor Fraser, I just needed a baseline, so. Okay, is there any further questions? And thank you for speaking up from that side. I mean, it's nice to hear you. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you.
Is that a slap at me, sir?
What's that? No, yes, it was a slap at them, not a slight at you.
I didn't undertake that.
Next is under the consent agenda, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the Council of the Township of Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the items from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Anything, we have one item coming out of the consent agenda. Is there any other items? We do have a motion on that, yep. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, and I will ask, I guess I'm going to read this, so. I have a motion moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, whereas rural, northern, and remote municipalities are fiscally strained by maintaining extensive road networks on smaller tax bases. And whereas preventing crashes reduces the burden on Ontario's already strained rural healthcare system, and whereas roadway collisions and associated lawsuits are significant factors in runaway municipal insurance premiums. Preventing car crashes can have a significant impact in improving municipal risk profiles. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township of North Glengarry requests that the Government of Ontario take action to implement the Rural Road Safety Program that Good Roads has committed to lead. And further, that this resolution be circulated to all municipalities in Ontario, requesting their support, as well as the Premier of Ontario and the Minister of Transportation. Any discussion? This is something that's coming from the Good Roads, and it's definitely important for us. So all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, or none opposed. No items under new business. Notice of motion. Our next regular council meeting is Monday, March 24th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. Question period on anything other than the BEST project. Are there any questions on anything else? Seeing none, okay, thank you. And we will be going into closed session, so I'll ask for the mover on that. Councillor Madden.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell. Proceed in closed session as this matter deals with labor relations or employee negotiations. They may be discussed in closed session under Section 239 2D of the Ontario Municipal Act.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We'll take a 2-minute break and then proceed in closed session. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. Everyone have a good evening and have a good week. So.